Hi, so good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us in a series of webinars that we'll be having on the Student Revolving Loan Fund, what we do, what we offer to the public, how you can benefit if you haven't already. And with me on this webinar is Shaquille Leacock. He's one of our customer engagement specialists. I am Allan Former, the Senior Loans and Collections Officer. And there will be other members of the team joining us throughout the webinar who will respond to some of your questions if you have them. You can actually put them in the chat, or you can raise your hand if you are watching us on YouTube or any of our social media channels. You can actually just put them in comments and someone from the team will send them to us. Okay. So the Student Revolving Loan Fund is basically the education lending institution in Barbados. The purpose of the SRLF is to provide loans to all eligible Barbadians to assist in financial and education. Our mission is to provide loans to Barbadians for tertiary education on attractive terms in an efficient and caring manner, thereby contributing to the development of the nation's human capital. Our vision is to be the preferred financial institution in Barbados for tertiary education. As I said, the Student Revolving Loan Fund is the education lending institution in Barbados. We have a series of products and services that you can access. To access our products, you must be 18 years or older. You must be a Barbadian, and you must be looking to study at an accredited institution or doing an accredited program. We say that it's easy to apply because you just apply online. Everything is done online until the loan is approved. Once the loan is approved, then you come into our office. One of our biggest selling points for this loan is that you pay nothing while you study, and then you pay nothing up to 1 year after you have completed studies based on the length of your program. And next selling point is that we have the lowest interest rate on the market for educational loans, which is 5.55%. We also have a lower interest rate for some of our special loan products, which we'll go into later in this presentation. And if you're so lucky to are able to pay while you're studying, that money goes directly to the principal of the loan and doesn't attract interest. So you reduce the principal and the interest is charged on the reducing balance. So that's just an overview of why to choose the Student Revolving Loan Fund. Or as I said, we have several loan products. We have student loans where you can borrow up to $125,000. You pay nothing while you're studying. As I said, the interest on this is 5.55%. There are different loan limits and different categories of studies. We have our digital transformation loan, which is a loan for anybody who's looking to buy any form of computer equipment or for educational purposes. This loan is unsecured. It goes up to a maximum of $6,000. The only requirement for this is that the person that's taking out the loan must be working, because repayment starts on the loan immediately via salary deduction. Then we have our top-up loan. Our top-up loan is basically if you have an existing loan for probably your bachelor's and stuff like that, and you want to do a master's, or if you want to go and do a professional designation, then you can come to us and you can top up on that loan once you have the relevant collateral, and it resets the term of the loan. So once that top-up loan has been approved, the loan then goes back to an interest-free loan. The terms are reset wherein nothing is required to be paid while you're studying and stuff like that. We have two new loan products. I will just give an overview of these products, well, my colleague, Mr. Licott, will go into them in depth. So the government of Barbados has partnered with Protexter and Cyber Nation in Canada to launch 2 programs. Student Revolving is the finance partner for these 2 programs. One is a certificate in artificial intelligence, which costs between $6,000 to $8,000 Barbados, and the other one is a cybersecurity training initiative, which costs between $11,000 and $14,000 Barbados dollars. The special, why we call these special programs, is that you get a 1-year job placement on successfully completing these programs, and that 1-year job placement pays, I think, pays in way between 2,500 to 5,000 Barbados dollars for these jobs that you'll be doing for 1 year, and they're entry-level jobs in the AI or cybersecurity field. Right. So as I said, one of our loan products is the digital transformation loan. You can borrow up to $6,000 unsecured. The interest rate is 5.55%. Repayment is between 24 to 36 months. All you need to do is the ID card, job letter, payslip, and proof of address. As I said, the loan is special for parents, educators, or anybody really needing computer equipment for online learning or teaching, or any short online course. The loan is approved within 10 business days. That's approval to signature. Yes. We also understand that the government of Barbados, while they do finance most programs at University of the West Indies, tuition for most programs, at the undergraduate level, there are only limited masters that they finance. So we finance masters at UWI-CAFL. I would say UWI in general, but for UWI-CAFL, we finance masters up to $65,000 for those masters program. And with those masters program, you have 2 to 3 years, whether part-time or full-time, to complete those programs. As I said before, we finance anything educational. So if you're looking to study locally, regionally, internationally, online, regardless if it is a certificate, a postgrad certificate, you're a PhD or a master's, we finance it. Online, part-time, full-time is financed through the Student Revolving Loan Fund. The only thing that we look for, as I said, with these courses is we make sure that the program is accredited or the institution is accredited. That is one of the key factors of us evaluating any program of study that you apply to do. As I was saying before, we do have loan limits for programs, so it depends on the length of study, your location of study, and the mode that we would have a loan limit. As you see locally, full-time tuition up to a maximum of $65,000. Part-time is the same thing. Online is tuition cost only, and then the DTL is standard at $6,000. Regional, if you're studying regional and it's a program that the government finance, so if that means that you're studying maybe at Hewardin, which is the LEC, or you want to do a bachelor's at St. Augustine or a bachelor's at Mona, St. Augustine, any studies in Trinidad, once the government is financing it, we finance up to $15,000 for housing and living for that year. If you are studying in Jamaica, which is Mona, and the government is financing that program, we will finance up to $12,000 per year. If they're not financing the program, then we will finance tuition plus $15,000 or $12,000, depending on where you're going to study. Internationally, we finance up to $125,000. As I was saying, it depends on what you're studying that will have a loan limit. It's important to note when we are looking at programs, however, and we're costing these programs, we especially for persons studying internationally, we have to look at housing, we have to look at meals, we have to look at any miscellaneous expense when we're costing the programs, because you're not living at home and stuff like that. So, but however, if you're living with a family member, what we would require to reduce the cost or remove the cost of living expenses is we will need a letter from that family member stating that you're living with them, and it has to be notarized. with the notary just authenticating the legitimacy of the letter that is coming to us. For medical studies, regardless where you're studying, so if you're studying at KFL, if you're studying at Mona, if you're studying internationally, if you're studying at any of the North American universities in Barbados, any med schools, we finance up to $125,000, which is our maximum financing. Right. Right. So I will turn over to my colleague, Mr. Leacock, who will just go over security somewhat. He will focus on sureties and some of the requirements for sureties, and then we'll come and go through watch some videos to go through the other types of security that is accepted.
Hi, good evening again, everyone. So as Allan would have highlighted, we are the Student Revolving Loan Fund. We are tasked with trying to be the preferred financial institution for student loans in Barbados. So to do that, we will provide a variety of security options just to make it as feasible as possible for persons who want to apply. Now, one of the most popular options would be the surety. One of the more simpler options as well, persons who want to stand surety to be eligible, they will just need to be between the age of 18 and 60, living and working in Barbados. Documents usually required for the surety are 2 forms of government ID, a digital photo. The surety form is online as well, so it's similar to the application process. Everything is online and simple. So the digital photo, the proof of address, recent job letter, and 2 pay slips, along with 2 forms of government ID. How the security is structured on the loans is the more you borrow, the more security is attached. So just to provide some insight, up to 30,000 would allow you to secure with 1 surety. Anything above 30,000 but not exceeding 50,000, you would need 2 sureties. And anything above 50,000, you could still use sureties, but you would need to attach one of the other security options listed as collateral towards the loan. Now, in the event that the option that you choose to attach to the loan is of value to cover the whole loan, you can use that full security to secure the loan, or you can also mix the two options together. So you can use a surety, 2 sureties, and a form of security, or you can use full security as well. So to highlight some of the security options you would accept, there's property and land. We accept that at 90% of the value. Properties and lands used as security, they must not have any fees or mortgages attached to them. No back tax, everything must be up to date in order for it to be used. Documents for that usually include the title deeds, the plot plan, just to name a few. We also do cash and fixed deposits. We take those at 100% value. So for example, if you wanted to use cash, once approved for the loan, you would need to, in the application process first, you will need to provide the financial evidence to us that you have this cash at your disposal. So something as simple as a bank statement can be used. Let me also highlight as well that the security options used as collateral doesn't necessarily need to belong to the applicant. So it could belong to a family member, a friend, parents, anyone who may be willing to pledge your assets for you to use as the collateral against the loan. They would just need to simply write a letter stating, a pledge letter, what we would usually refer to as a pledge letter, stating that they're giving you permission to use the asset as collateral against the loan. For the cash, you would need to provide the bank statement to us just to show that the cash is at your disposal. Once you are approved, you would need to bring in the cash to us and we would hold it until the loan is fully repaid. And then that cash will be released back to you and any interest it would have accrued during the time as well. We take cash at 100% value. So for example, if you want to borrow 50,000, you would need to bring 50,000 to us for us to hold as the security. We also accept government bonds and treasury notes as well at 100% value. You would need a recent bonds or note statement just showing the value of the bonds. We do shares and stocks with the Barbados Stock Exchange. We do shares with Fortress. And one of the more popular versions as well is the cash surrender value on the life insurance policy. We take that at 90%. So just to provide a bit more clarity, for the life insurance policy, is not the face value of the policy, but the cash surrender value, which is how much the policy has accumulated over the term you would have had it.
right, thanks, Shaq. What I will do now is that I will play a few videos which will simplify and just explain what Shaquille would have just went through. So you can just watch the videos. Let's go.
Thank you for choosing the Student Revolving Loan Fund. I'm here to talk about the surety requirements. The proposed surety must be at least 18 years of age and no older than 60 years of age at the time of signing the contract. The surety must complete the required form with contact and employment details. Proof of address must be submitted in the form of a recent utility bill or bank statement. Job letter and payslip must not be older than 3 months and a valid photo ID. In addition, for self-employed persons, you are required to submit financial statements and an affidavit from a lawyer confirming income and expenditure of the business.
At the Student Revolving Loan Fund, we are striving to make loans accessible for all ages. Therefore, in addition to sureties, we also accept security. While security is required for all loans over $50,000, we also accept security in the absence of sureties for loans under $50,000. We accept 7 types of security. However, I will speak to you on 3. Life insurance policies, cash, government bonds, and debentures. 1. Life insurance policies. The Student Revolving Loan Fund takes insurance policies at 90% of the cash surrender value and not the face value on all life insurance policies. You must submit a signed pledge letter from the owner of the policy, which provides permission for the fund to use the policy as security against the loan. A recent statement from the insurance agency, and 1 form of ID for the policy owner. 2. Cash. The Student Revolving Loan Fund takes cash at 100% face value. What is needed? A very recent bank statement that shows the amount of. At the Student Revolving.
I am not sure what happened there, but basically, as Shah said, what is needed is basically recent statements for those securities, and if they're not, and whoever is the owner of the security would then have to provide us a pledge letter stating that they're willing to pledge that type of security or the amount of money that they're looking to pledge to assist with the educational journey or to pay to Student Revolving Loan Fund, however they decide to word the letter that comes to us. So they're required some required documents for the entire application process. So I will play that video and then I will explain the logic behind some of the documents after the video.
Thank you for choosing the Student Revolving Loan Fund. Today I will be discussing the documents required for applying at the SRLF. To apply for a loan at the SRLF, the applicant must be a Barbadian citizen, 18 years or older. The following documents are required: a digital photo of the applicant on a solid background, valid government identification. You can use your national ID card, Barbados passport, or Barbados driver's license. Your most recent academic qualification, proof of address. This can be a utility bill or bank statement less than 3 months old. A medical certificate. This is the only original document which must be surrendered to SRLF. A transcript if you're already enrolled in the institution. Statement of annual tuition cost of the program from the institution. Document which shows annual housing and meal costs. Evidence to show your ability to cover shortfall between total cost of the program and the maximum amount SRLF might lend. This can be by way of award of scholarships, sponsorship from government, certificate of savings, or approved loan from a financial institution. If employed, 1 month's pay slips and a job letter. Both documents must be less than 3 months old. Acceptance letter or confirmation of enrollment. If you do not have the acceptance letter, you can still apply and the loan will be approved conditionally. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at customerservice@srlfloan.edu.bb.
Right, so that.
Thank you for choosing the Student Revolving Loan Fund. Today I will be discussing the documents required.
Right, so that's basically the documents required. What I will say is that we do not necessarily need the acceptance letter at the stage that you are applying for the loan. So persons can go ahead and apply without the acceptance letter. What we will do is that we will take the costing and stuff that you got from the website and we'll approve the loan conditionally. And the condition basically is that you are accepted into the institution that you have applied to us for. We ask for many people ask, why do we require a medical certificate? So that medical certificate allows our insurance agent to know at any point that you were in good health once you took up the loan, you were in good health at that point in time. Because we have insurance on all of our loans. This insurance covers the loan. If you are on extended sick leave, you can write to us and we will write to the insurance company to see if they will cover any payments. If perhaps any accidental deaths, unfortunately, the insurance will take care of the loan once it's in good standing. So the insurance covers that sickness and it also covers death. And the insurance, as I said, is charged. So we prepay the insurance for you. So anyone that recently signed up or have a contract with us would see that there is something called accumulated insurance listed in their contract. And that's basically the insurance that is paid during the study and grace period. Some people come into the office and say they want to pay the insurance component. Some people are their parents. That's quite okay. If you pay online and you want to pay the insurance component, you will just have to let us know that when you pay online to apply it to reduce that accumulated insurance. But all of our loans have insurance. Similar to the interest, this insurance is charged on your reducing balance. It is not a large monthly charge. So yes, but the insurance is there to protect you and to protect us in case anything happens to you while you have the loan. So the next aspect of the loan, we talked about the application stage, we talked about the study stage and stuff like that. So the next stage is repayment. So basically, so every repayment amount has a different period. Every limit has a different period. Depends on how long you study. You will have either a 1 year grace period or 6 months grace period. If you have studied less than 6 months, the grace period will be the equivalent of the study period. But if you borrow the maximum and you study 4 years, the repayment will be approximately $950.80. 30,000. Maximum repayment time is 7 years, but as I said, the repayment amount will differ slightly, depends on your grace period. And when I said slightly, I mean actually slightly, $2-3, because during grace is when the interest is charged on your loan. So if you're studying for 3 years, there's no interest during that 3 years, but at the end of that contractual study period, and I'm going to use the word contractual study period because that's what we use internally. So if your contract states that you're supposed to finish study in September 2025, from October the 1st, 2025, when your grace year starts, interest will start to accumulate on your loan. We always tell persons, as I said before, if you can pay while studying, make payments. One of our catchphrases is pay early, pay less, because the more you pay up front, the less you end up paying in interest and stuff like that. The loan also goes in advance, so ever month that you can't pay, there will be no late penalties and stuff like that because the loan is in advance. So the earlier you start repayment, or the more you start pay, the more you start paying up front, the less you end up paying us in interest, and the less possibilities of you being charged a late fee. Our late fee on loans is $30. Right. So to start the repayment process, most persons will receive what we call a mode of repayment, which basically is a letter or email stating that your loan will start repaying at this period, and the amount of money that your monthly payment and what your accumulated interest is at that period of time. That's the first thing you will get from us for the repayment period. We have multiple forms or methods of repayment. The preferred method is salary deduction. So most persons would pre-sign salary deductions during the appointment when they meet with our legal officer. And what that does, it allows us to implement a salary deduction at the start of, once your company takes salary deduction, at the start of the loan repayment period. We will not implement it before unless we get permission from you. But once the repayment period has started, we will implement that salary deduction. We do have an online portal, which we recommend every person to register for. Persons think the online portal is only for repaying the loan, but ultimately the online portal allows you to manage the loan properly. When you go into the online portal, you will see when we did the disbursement, how much was disbursed. You will also see the accumulated insurance being charged monthly. You will see the interest being charged once that grace period starts. It would have your repayment start date also. So all of that information is also listed in the online portal, along with statements. So you can pull any statement as it relates to your loan from the online portal. Additional to that, sureties. Your sureties can also register for the online portal, and they can register either to make payments, or it can simply to monitor the account. We do have a function in the online portal wherein you can set up for your monthly payment to the loan to either pull automatically from your credit card or pull automatically from your bank account. So we call that auto pay. It's just ease of reference. The money naturally will pull on the 29th or the 30th of the 28th or the 30th of each month, depending on the date that you select once you set it up. We do accept wire transfers from any banks, and we are a bill payer in several banks. We do have cashier on site where you can do cash or personal checks also, and you can also pay us through the post office and SurePay. So there are various options to pay the loan. As I said, once you are employed and your employer takes salary deductions and you're employed locally, that's the preferred method of repayment. Right. So one of the things that we encourage persons to do is that we have open communication channels. And that open communication channel is between you at the stage of studying. That's between you and your loans officer. Once your contractual study period has ended, that is now between you and your collection officer. So in any period of studying and you may think that you are not performing and you can finish on time, you need to reach out to your loans officer and stuff like that and request an extension of study. They will tell you what is needed, how you can submit that extension of study and stuff like that. Because if you don't reach out, the loan will run as normal and you will be expected to start repayment on time. But if you reach out, depends on the circumstances, we will give you an extension of study. Sometimes the extension of study sometimes you will not get a disbursement if you need the extension of study, and that's simply because the SRLF does not pay for receipts. So if you are failing courses, the SRLF may tell you have to apply for extension of study. However, you will not get money for this semester, and it's simply because we have to make sure you're on track, and we do not pay for you to retake courses. So it kind of would be at you, unless it is a medical reason, then we can make considerations, but ultimately we don't pay for receipts. Paying your loan on time allow you to avoid late fees. The contractual late fee at the SRLF right now is 30 Barbados dollars. So once you miss a payment, the late fee is 30 Barbados dollars. Avoid bad credit rating. The SRLF, everyone with a loan at the SRLF does have a credit rating. The credit rating really starts at the best credit rating possible. So the credit rating is one active, current, or one good standing while you're in study, and then the credit rating will be adjusted based on how you repay the loan. Avoid having your sureties called in. So some loans have sureties, some loans have security. What we do is that we always communicate with the borrower, but we also communicate with the surety. So at most times, when the loan now goes into arrears and stuff like that, the collection officer may say, okay, let me just reach out to the borrower to see what's going on and stuff like that. However, if they don't get you, they definitely will reach out to the sureties. And all correspondence that are sent to you as it relates to arrears, repayment, anything to do, changes to the loan, etc., the sureties also receive those correspondence. And you don't want a case wherein we ask persons to always openly communicate with their sureties and also openly communicate with us, because at the end of the day, you don't want a case wherein the surety has to repay the loan and you are actively working. Avoid losing your security. So if the loan is secured by security and the loan is not being financed, the SRLF contractually owns the security until the loan is fully repaid. And if the loan is not being repaid or not being repaid properly, we can actually go ahead and dispose of your security. We will notify you because it's the right thing to do, but we don't have to, because as I said before, the security at that point, the SRLF owns it once it's assigned to us. So we make contact with the person that also is pledging the security for them to reach out if you are not reaching out to us or replying to us. So everybody is involved before we get to the point of disposing security. Legal proceedings are less favorable route because it takes up a bit of time, but sometimes it's the only route. What I will say to persons here is that the SRLF does go to court and take persons to court. It is something that we do. What we do, and many persons don't understand what it is, but I would say it's something that we file against you and it registered in court. That is called the unpaid debt certificate. What that unpaid debt certificate does is that anybody searches for you, they would see it ultimately and let them know that you have outstanding debt with the SRLF that you have yet to settle. Addition to that, the court route also allows us to go ahead and basically, if you are working and your company doesn't take our salary deduction, it allows us to go ahead and garnish your salary. And when we say garnish your salary, it is basically the court giving us an order that we can go ahead and take a percentage of your salary. That percentage can range from 33.3% of your salary and down. But yes, the court will give us authority to go ahead and take that right directly to send the court order directly to your employer, letting them know that we have the rights to take this from your salary. When you repay your loan, and the key word in our title is revolving. So when you repay your loan, it allows us to be able to lend money to other Barbadians. And that is one of the key words, and that's one of the words that I think the Minister has stressed on, the Prime Minister has stressed on as it relates to Student Revolving Loan Fund. The fund has been able to sustain itself because of some good persons repaying their loans, but we need more persons to continue on that trend, and we need persons to repay their loan. Persons that are here, we do have a special promotion being run right now. That promotion is repay and pass it on. And what this promotion looks at, it looks at not only helping out those persons that would have become delinquent due to one reason or the other, but it also looks at helping those persons that are in good standing or not even repayment. So it looks at if you're looking to repay your loan in the next 3 months and stuff like that, it looks at giving you you contact us and we work out what a rebate for you, and tell you, okay, if you want to take advantage of this, this is what you currently owe us. However, we will take this amount, write off this amount, and you'll just pay us what we tell you. So that rebate can range from 5 to 10% sometimes. So it just allows for persons to be rewarded for doing good, and that's for persons that are in good standing. For persons that would have had some problems repaying the loan and stuff like that, we understand everything doesn't go as we want it to go, and we have also looked at writing off or reducing the additional interest on loans that we would consider bad loans. And there's a percentage that we look at. I think the up to 80% we can write off the additional interest, and this additional interest is basically interest that would be accrued on the loan because you did not finance the loan as you were supposed to. So this is money that if you had paid the loan correctly, Student Revolving would not have got from you. So these are options available to persons, to assist persons in repaying their loan, or persons that are in good standing that just want to say, okay, I have it here, let me just get ready to loan. We do have some offers between now and December, the end of December, yes, between now and the end of December that you can take up. That's how long the campaign is running. So if you want to hear more about the campaign, you can call our office, 535-0834. I think the last thing that we do as it relates to persons that are delinquent, and it's expressly stated in contracts, it's also expressly stated in any letter that we have to send to you, any notice, final notice or repayment notice that we send to you when you're not paying, that we still will consider the option of publishing your photo, your name, address, etc. on, especially if you're not replying on in the newspaper and on our social media, until we can get responses from you. We haven't been using the method. We hope not to have to use the method, but it is still a method out there for us to use. So that's one of the reasons that we advise persons to repay the loan. Repaying the loan allows you to assist other eligible agents, and it allows you to benefit, avoid paying us additional money, any legal fees, any bad credit, and stuff like that. And as I said before, there's several methods of loan repayment, from online payment, salary reduction, bank transfer. We're even billers in persons' bank accounts. So it is easy to repay the loan from anywhere in the world, actually. Right. So these are the basically team of loan specialists that I lead. So these persons literally manages your loan application, and they manage your loan for the entire period of study, subsequent disbursements, any extension of studies that you may require, any change of program, etc. These are the 3 loans officers. They also have 3 collection officers, so each person is assigned a collection officer. Your collection officer naturally reach out to you when the loan is going into repayment, so you know exactly who that person is. Also, the automatic email that comes to you that let you know that your repayment starts this month will identify your collection officer and give you contact for that person also. So that's basically what we do in a nutshell. Is basically how we operate in a nutshell. Yeah. So any questions? So if anybody has any questions, they can either raise their hand and we will unmute them, or they can feel free to just ask the question in the chat, and either I would answer, or next one of my colleagues will answer the question. So I take that as we have, okay, Orlando is typing. Right. So the first question I have is from Renee Griffith. If I want a loan for 30,000 Barbados, how much money in savings would I need to put up? As Shaquille would have said earlier in the chat, cash is the least favorable option because ultimately with cash, it has to be dollar for dollar. So if you're looking to borrow $30,000 and you want to use cash, then $30,000 has to be pledged. That is why the preferred option, most persons for $30,000 and stuff like that, most persons would use a surety, and that surety just has to be working for $30,000 Barbados per year. If you're using a surety, we're not going to look at the surety's savings. We're going to look at the surety's current income. We look at income, how long they've been working and stuff like that. But as it relates to using cash security is 100%. It has to match what you're borrowing. Right. So the next question is from Orlando. How long has it take to assess someone eligibility for interest write-off? You are still waiting. You will receive a response shortly. If your loan is in good standing, it would not necessarily be an interest write-off, but it would be a rebate. If your loan is not in good standing, it would be a interest write-off on additional interest, not necessarily what you would have paid naturally, but additional interest that you would not have been charged if your loan was not in arrears. As I said before, this campaign is running for 3 months, and there will be ultimately there'll be a figure that will be given to you to repay, and this repayment figure would be actually over a period of 3, no longer than 6 months, that you would have that figure to repay, or the loan then would revert to the normal standing of the loan. Any more questions? Alright, so I will just give a minute for any more questions and then I will start to wrap up. However, one thing we advise persons to do is that when you're looking at programs, when you are looking at to register for programs or doing programs, look to see if the program is accredited and look at the cost of the program, because when you're looking at the cost of the program, it's very important to note that the cost of programs, especially if you're traveling to study, has to include meals, it has to include housing and tuition. Unless you're staying with a family member, then we need a letter. And then if you're only looking to borrow a percentage from us, if you're only looking to borrow a percentage from the Student Revolving Loan Fund, then you have to show that you have access to the balance of the money that will make up the thing. So if, say, you're looking to study for 3 years and the cost of that 3-year program is $200,000 and you're only borrowing $125 from us, we would need to see that $75,000. We will need to see that $75,000 up front. And that will be shown by way of bank statement and pledge letter. As I said, it doesn't have to be from the person that is studying. It can be from parents, it can be from relatives, it can be family, friends that are willing to help. But we will need to see that you have access to the difference in that fund. The next question is, how can I check to see if the school is accredited? So sometimes the school will have their accreditation listed on their website. With the UK government uses one education website, and you can check to see if the school is accredited with the UK government. Outside of that, we have the Barbados Accreditation Council. They do accreditation checks on universities and programs. And yeah, I think the fee for that accreditation check is $60. But ultimately, most schools you can find, if they're accredited, are not on the country's education website or the country's accreditation site. And if you can't find it there, the best bet is to the Accreditation Council. However, as it relates to accreditation, especially as it relates to engineering and medicine, we look at not only institutional accreditation, because the institution can be accredited, but not the program. But for engineering and medicine, as I said before, the program has to be internationally accredited. So if it is not internationally recognized and internationally accredited, we definitely will not sponsor programs in engineering and medicine. And those can be found on the government's, those are found on the government's accreditation sites where the institution is located. Is there a loan for the amount of graduate study? Is there a limit? So there is a limit for graduate studies. If it's an international program, 1 year or less, that limit is capped at 75,000 Barbados dollars. If the program is more than that period, then we can go up to the 125. If you are studying at UE and it's a sponsored program, then your limit ultimately, if the graduate studies program is sponsored, your limit ultimately is 2,400 part-time, 4,000 full-time. If the program is not sponsored, then your limit is tuition fees plus $4,000 to $6,000 for any device that you may need for your studies. So that is locally sponsored, between 2,400 or 4,000. Locally not sponsored, tuition plus $6,000. Internationally or regionally, up to a maximum of 1 year, $75,000. And anything above 1 year, we can go up to $125,000.
Just to touch on Caroline's question, Allan, the borrower would not be able to see the sureties information from the portal. From the portal, you will see your due dates for the payments, the nets amount you're required to pay. You also get monthly statements as well, the balance, and you also get to see the breakdown of how the payment was distributed. Even with the application process, the applicant will be able to see the sureties information. How the application is set up is, once the surety fills out the form, the applicant will provide the code to them, and once they start the surety form, it links the surety application and the initial borrower together, and then the sureties information will drop into the required slot on the applicant's application, but they still will not be able to see the surety's personal information on the application either. So our systems are pretty secure. In terms of both parents living in the same household, no, we usually prefer it to be at least one parent and not both parents if they're living in the same household. However, if they're not in the same household, both can still be used as surety.
Thanks, Shaquille. Do we have any more questions from anyone else? So I think we have a next question coming. This question is coming from Malika. She's still typing. Right. So the answer to that question, one parent and a sibling living in the same household as a surety, that is feasible and is acceptable. Yes. Once the person meets the income threshold, the employment threshold, and the credit rating checks come back positive, then both of those persons can be sureties. One of the reasons that they look at both parents living at the same household and stuff like that is they look at that naturally as one income, as a family income, both parents supporting the full household. So that is why that rule is there at present. As I said before, we look at everything and we look at the feasibility of stuff as years go by, but the rule is there right now. So, since we are on sureties, just to clarify, repeat what Shah said, 18, the person has to be 18 years or older, no older than 60. So they can sign the surety form at 60. They can sign our contract at 60. The person has to be, for you to qualify for $30,000, the person has to be working for a minimum of $30,000 per year. This is for our normal loans. For our special products, as mentioned before, which is the cybersecurity and the artificial intelligence program, which comes with job placements. The surety for the cybersecurity just needs to be making $14,400, and the surety for AI just needs to be making $10,000, and this is per annum. Carla asked, would a chattel house be considered for security? So a chattel house at present will not be considered for security. So what we would do if a person has a chattel house, because we use the tax demand, the amount stated on the tax demand notice. We use the amount stated on the tax demand notice. So once we would naturally not use the improved value, we would use the original value, which is naturally the value of that BRA has valued the land at, and we will use that value if there are chattel houses on it, and we use that at 90%. So at present, we don't take chattel houses as security. And once you are using a property as security and we agree to take the property, you have to have a comprehensive homeowner insurance plan. If I'm already in the program. All right, Shaquille, will you take the next question?
So to touch on Carola's question, yes, if you're already enrolled, you can apply. Usually the only difference in documents that will be required is you would need a status letter from the institution, which would give us your official completion date, as well as a recent academic transcript, just so we'd be able to review the grades of the courses you would have completed so far. You will still be able to apply. All the other stipulations will still apply as well.
Right, and just to add to what Shaquille has said, once you are in the program, yes, you apply. One thing we take into consideration, however, is that we will do a complete evaluation of the transcript, because we would have something to go on. So for example, if you are at UE and you had two semesters and your GPA is still under 2, then we would recommend that you try to bring up your GPA and then you reapply for the loan. And why we do that is because if you have 2 consecutive semesters with a GPA below 2, you will naturally at the end of that 3rd semester would ask you to withdraw. And when they ask you to withdraw, there's a possibility that even when you re-enroll, that there will be additional costs. And when I say there will be additional costs, the Ministry of Education, Government of Barbados is very strong on the time it takes persons to complete programs, whether it be at UE, whether it be at KFL, Mona, St. Augustine, Hugh Wedding. So they give you a time frame. So Hugh Wedding courses is 2 years. They give you a maximum of 3 years to complete. If it's going to take you more than 3 years to complete, tuition then becomes on you at the 4th year. If you are studying full-time at KFL, Mona, St. Augustine, 5 Islands, then full-time 4 years. Full-time is naturally 3 years. The government gives you a maximum of 4 years to complete that program. After 4 years, the government then asks you or require you to pay that tuition, because the government will no longer pay tuition for you. They will pay the economic cost. And the same thing with if you're studying part-time, they give you a maximum of 5 years if they're paying your tuition. Anything above 5 years, then you will have to pay for that. And when they say 4 or 5 years, they mean together. So if you started a program and you did 3 years and you did not complete that program, and then you go back to UE and they tell you that you have 2 more years to go, and you did 3 years at full time and didn't complete the program, and then you have to do 2 more years at full time to complete the program, you will be charged for that final year, full tuition for that final year. And the policy is fully inactive, and so that is why we have to review transcripts to see if you're on time. We have to look at how your performance is yearly. That's why one of the requirements for you to get further drawdowns once you're doing a program that is longer than a year is that you submit a transcript to us every year or on request to get that drawdown. And the reason is that we need to make sure you're going to finish the program on time. There will be enough finances for you to complete the program. There's nothing hindering you from completing the program. You would have also paid your portion if you're supposed to pay a portion to the program. So all of that is what we get from a transcript. So when we request a transcript and you tell us UE is not letting you get a transcript, or the institution is not letting you get a transcript, most of the time it's because there are outstanding fees that you're supposed to cover that you didn't cover. So just what we look at when it comes to disbursements, transcripts, accepting persons that are already in programs and stuff like that. Are there any more questions? All right, so at this time, I would like to thank everyone for taking the time out to come to our first webinar in a series of webinars. We will have a next upcoming webinar. That webinar will focus on one of our special programs. That program is the Artificial Intelligence program, how you can benefit from it if you study it, if you know anyone that is interested in science and stuff like that, or maybe unemployed and looking for something to do. This program, it does come with a 1-year job placement. So that will be our focus of our next webinar. As I said again, from myself and Jacques and the team at the SRLF, we thank you for joining us on this webinar tonight. Do have a great evening, and we hope to see you at more of our webinars.